All right, guys, welcome back. Today we're going to do issue 3 of Crusader from Mad Cave Comics by Matt Emmons and Andriy Lukin. I hope I said that correct. And without further ado, we're going to continue the story. If you want to know what's going on, I urge you to check out my first 2 videos. It's on my channel. You can subscribe to it if you want. I'm doing daily content, as you know. And so let's dive in. So our nameless Crusader is being kicked out of the first settlement that they want to, get in, because this guy wants to have some answers, but he couldn't get it. So he goes to this town, and there's people fighting all over the place, and he says, "Heavenly Father, why have you forsaken me?" And he's here in the town of degenerates. Here, this land of beasts, he says. So, but this creature, I forgot his name. If he has a name. Yeah, he has a name. He says, hey, you really got to lay off with the beast stuff, man, between then and the Lord nonsense. You keep making people nervous. So the creature asks, hey, what does this Lord mean to you? Is he some kind of a family? He says, no, I don't have no family. All right, so he tells you to fight, and you do? Not exactly. He speaks through holier men than I, and we, his Knights Templar, obey their commands. And he says, we do not question our role. It is to fight to protect our home, Holy Lands. Yeah, you mentioned that. And then he asked, but what if the war is over? What are you going to do then? What is your plan? And he says, I don't know. I'm a soldier. That's all I know. I said, what do you mean? It means he's a grunt. So then he's being greeted by a group called the 18, and this is the Meridian. And the Meridian was the woman, a warrior woman, probably, that he saw in the last settlement and had a discussion with, and he says, you again, everywhere I go, I'm being followed. He says, there are others who, and then he speaks about the other guy, this guy that seems to cannot die, although he says, I killed it at the river, right? So she says, hey, I'm Meridian, leader of the 18, and she introduced other guys. We travel the realm, fighting for those who cannot, rooting out evil wherever it lurks. A noble cause. So she says, so I believe you might be a part of something far more dangerous than you can handle alone. That's why she's following them. The guards told me about the helmet. You claimed to be unable to remove it. Is this true? Yes. Between that and the stun with your sword, you're very interesting. The stun with the sword was in the last issue or the first. Somehow the sword returns to its master for, like the Hammer of Thor. Not sure why, it's not explained. So where is it you from? France. And he says, never heard of such places. So she says, I read about people with traits like yours, stranger. People from very, very far away. Other realms, to be precise. So interesting. So that means other people came from somewhere else to this realm. What does that mean, right? From what I've gathered, realm shifters tend to be more deliberate with their travels than you. This is what you're talking about. She asked, hey, are you hungry, thirsty? He says, no, I haven't thought about it. You're here, but you don't belong. You aren't supposed to be here. Then perhaps there is a way for me to return home. I hope so. But if there is, then that means there is also a way for something else to go with you. Oh, well, okay, that's true. So he says, maybe our interests aligned here. We like for you to travel with us. We can help you. There is strength in numbers. So then this sorcerer guy comes in and starting to kill people. He says, but then the Crusader says, well, what now? He said, we rest now. But then this is happening, right? So I thought maybe it was good for the sorcerer to lay back because he's clearly outnumbered, right? But then the voice says, you have to excuse the interruption. I heard so much about the heroic 18. I know that voice. I'm so curious about the name. Are you there really 18 of you? Forgive me, you might be at 14 since you're down 4 already. Shall we? So basically he is engaging in combat, which surprised me. He's a lone guy with only what is it? A shiv? Is that how you say it? This knife thing. So he says, slow start, but not a bad first hit. So everybody is chiming in, but then this guy loses a nose, gets a punch in the face, and he says, no weapons? Are you sure? And he says, my whole body is a weapon. Sure. Now where was I? So he breaks his arm, and then he snaps it back in place and he kills him. He gets a sword, almost sliced him in half, but he doesn't die. He just gets up, healing himself somehow, and he's continuing the fight while all the others are dying. So there's also another sorcerer. So he's getting electrocuted, but he ignores that and he comes in and he says 10, 9, but then he's also getting shot by arrows, and it's just no fair. I mean, I love the visceral killing here. There's only one downside, two downsides to be precise. So sometimes it's a little bit hard to read because it's very dark. I like the killings, by the way. It's very creative. But since the textures, if you can call it that, or the details are, it's not really minimalistic, but it feels a little bit flat, the art, right? Little depth. So as you can see here, there's a lot of things on the foreground, and then we all these thick speed lines. Although I would probably use it another, different kind of lines makes this comic a little bit more readable. I mean, it's all looking the same with the speed lines. Therefore, the art can be looking flat. And since it's also so dark at some places, it's not really, you cannot really read what's going on. I mean, if you look closely, you can see what it is. But for instance, here, I know he slices his throat, but I mean, what is this here? I know it's part of his attire. Is that how you say it? I mean, I would probably use a different, pencil, brush, whatever. I'm not sure if it's digital or hand-drawn, but it seems that all the lines has been drawn with the same pencil, right? If you know what I mean. If you can see here, it's here. Also these textures here, what makes it, a little bit, not unreadable, but, different to read. So anyway, but that's probably my most, these are my two criticisms, this is my 2 cents. But then the Crusader comes in, he slashes him, right? He says, why don't you die? I often wondered that myself, but I have a gift for you from my masters. So he kicked. So then this is happening. Now I'm not sure if the sorcerer is doing that or maybe something else, but there's some kind of electrical current between them or a magic bolt. His sword that normally comes back into his hand shatters and he's been thrown into this pond or river, right? And he says, I may have some use for you. And then he sees, the master of this creature. And I believe there are demons or gods, and he's here in the river. And he says, how much killing have you done with this blade? And would you like to kill more? I have done what is necessary to serve my God. Of course, incidentally, you also made some men very rich along the way. And what have you made of yourself? A murderer. All right? But do not fret, we would not pass judgment upon you. Oh no, we need those willing to dirty their hands for their master. You are the foundation for a glorious kingdom. We invite you to see what people like you have built for us. But for now, relax, drown a little. Pilgrim tells us we shall see you soon. So the sorcerer is named Pilgrim. I like this interaction, this conversation, right? Because people back in the day has blind faith, and there's nothing wrong with having faith in your God. Although I'm a, non-believer myself, atheist, right? I don't believe in any God. But I always wondered why people following their gods blindly, right? Always wonder. But this gives you a clear behind the scenes, because this is another realm, and Pilgrim is, a servant of these gods, and he's telling you, hey, listen, You did a lot of good deeds for it, good, quote unquote, and you killed a lot of people for your god, and this is the result, right? So he says, no, get away. Oh, there you are, hoping you survived. My Grimbel, where is Grimbel? That's the little creature. Your little green friend? Our attacker took him. There wasn't much we could do. We're all that's left. We have to go now. I know where our attacker, this Pilgrim person, is taking him. Where? To his masters. And that leads us to the last issue that I mean, December 2023, but I already have this. So yeah, there is something about this book that is very compelling. Maybe it's the story, maybe it's this somewhat very simplistic style of art, but it's really, it's well done. And, you know, I like some part of the facial expression. I also like this Crusader guy, you know, that is transported to another realm, fighting for a good cause. And we have this immortal sorcerer, you know, working for masters, right? And he's unkillable, you know, and this, even this Grimbel guy, whatever he is. So I don't know, there's something about this it's appealing to me, charming even, if that's the right word. So guys, let me know in the comments what you think about this, and I'm gonna see you, of course, in the next video pretty soon. See ya. Bye bye.